for metaphysics, but he seems he stimulated further inquiry. I guess that's what he's talking about. By saying certain kinds of things, these philosophers stimulated further inquiry, so that concepts of right, duty, authority were defined more adequately, he thinks, and have become part of our language to such an extent that Hobbes' system is refuted, according to him. Well, we don't know Hobbes' system, so we don't know how it's been refuted, but we'll take his word for it. At least that's what he thinks, and we're just studying what he thinks, so that's his environment. He considers Hobbes extreme in the next paragraph. He thinks that if a man is not bound by nature to any duty, there is no reason why he should keep his contracts, because we're getting the social contract. As I told you, so if he isn't bound by any duty, naturally speaking, why should he keep the social contract? So he's trying to poke holes in the philosophical sense in Hobbes' arguments. These are just arguments anyway. So, I mean, I don't care if Hobbes is right or wrong, or Mendelssohn is right or wrong, or Spinoza is right or wrong. One is stimulating the other into thinking in the same area of thought. So, look, if these things are only built on fear and weakness, he says, then mankind doesn't get any closer to security. We're in the same boat today. Fear and weakness, if that's what forces people not to develop atomic weapons and things like that, we're no closer to greater security. So we're facing similar problems. We just put it differently. Since he can naturally violate a covenant made in good faith, and we're getting people who think like that. That's how a lot of people think in many parts of the world. They're not obliged to observe treaties they make with the infidel. You can make a treaty with the infidel, but you don't even have to keep it, because that person doesn't believe what you believe, so you don't have to keep any treaty with that person. These are serious problems, even up to the present time, and since the forces that we're dealing with in the present time are even more frightening, the effects can be more frightening. I don't know what it'll be 200 years from now. I don't even dare to think of it. Okay, so now he keeps on banging away at Hobbes here, right? Take another issue. Hobbes imposes strict obligation on the civil authorities not to demand anything of their subjects which would be detrimental to their welfare. And he goes on to say that that's another untenable thing to expect and so on. So then he starts talking about Locke. You see where he starts talking about Locke? Mm-hmm. Locke, who lived during the same period, took a different approach, if you want to call it. I'm paraphrasing. And he states the name of the work, Letters on Tolerance. He defined a society, a state rather, as a society where men unite to act collectively to promote the temporal welfare. Is that what you have? That's a very important sentence. You want to know what your translation says there? In his Letters of Tolerance?
A state is a society of men who unite for the purpose of collectively promoting their temporal welfare.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Ours is better.
I already said it. I agree with you. Never mind. The point is that you can hear our Declaration of Independence right there, or our Constitution. We, the people, blah, 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 you know, and then it goes on. It's just total, right out of John Locke. And Jefferson and Franklin and all these people, Madison, who were writing those documents, were reading John Locke very carefully. That's pretty obvious. So is Mendelssohn. So, therefore, the state shouldn't concern itself regarding eternal salvation. It has to tolerate all whose civil conduct, that is within the state, within the society, does not interfere with their fellow citizens' pursuit of temporal happiness. That's why Jefferson put in the Declaration of Independence. You hear the same language: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To ensure these things, governments are instituted among men. When governments become abusive of these rights, it's the right of the people to alter and abolish. How many are familiar with the words of the Declaration of Independence? This is what's right here. This is what he's talking about. It's the same mindset, almost word for word, in German as in English. And he's even using pursuit of happiness here, isn't he? Whereas people will say, well, the Americans have this weird thing, pursuit of happiness. That can mean anything. We French have liberty, equality, fraternity. That's a different thing. So yeah, okay, whatever you want to define it, it lets you lock people's heads off. It's pretty good, I guess. But the point of the matter is, we like life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness because we're all Jeffersonians. Now, some of you come from, let us say, maybe Mexico. Others of you might come from Korea. Someone else may come from someone else, but you're all Jeffersonians. And if you're not, well, you're probably living in the wrong country. Because that's what this country is. I teach a course, some of you have been through it, American Religious Diversity. I'm teaching Walt Whitman in that course. Because I think that's what American religion is. There is an American religion that comes above people's individual religions. And it's Jeffersonian, if you want to call it, for lack of a better word, even though he's not a perfect person, as we've since come to discover. But still, it comes out of the documents that were set down for us back then, and all of us agree to follow those documents. So we like it. Our translation is best: life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Is that the same thing as civil religion?
I don't know. So I don't know what civil religion is, but it's the same thing as something.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like he's talking about the civil religious sort of construct, I guess, of 4th of July as a holiday.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. Anyway, you have to take my class when I read Whitman to you, and you'll see what I mean. But I can't put it in words. I can only read documents that express it. To me, when you put things in words, try to box them in words, you were in that class. You lose it. You lose it. And you were in that class. But if you let Whitman speak, then a spirit comes over you. But if you try to sum up what he said, it's like trying to grab a soap bubble.
Unless you're like Whitman.
Well, yeah.